everybody, it's James here from goodguitarist.com, and today I want to show you an easy way to play Green Onions, or a blues riff, sort of like Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. And I checked YouTube and I saw there's a ton of lessons that show a bunch of different ways to play this, you know, like or like but I figured I'd make a version that's a bit more accessible and will just kind of help you with some of the basics. You know, if you're just kind of getting into riffing on guitar, maybe starting up some blues guitar, these are some exercises and some ways to play this song that I share with my students who, you know, they don't want to learn how to play chords and do that strumming thing. They want to just kind of rock out right away. So this is something that you could do pretty early on in your guitar career. It's all based around this movable shape called a power chord. You can move it all over the fretboard. It's the basis for like a trillion songs. Or like Iron Man. I could literally go on for like 5 or 6 hours just riffing off, you know, songs that use the power chord because it's so essential. But it's also the basis for bar chords. You just take that power chord shape and you add a couple extra fingers and you get a bar chord. That's also why I think it's so important to be really good at moving this shape around, because then it's just a matter of adding a couple strings. And, you know, you can call yourself an intermediate guitar player at that point. Anyways, if you do need help along the way, I do talk about the power chord in my free ebook on lead guitar. I'll put a link below for that. And I also go over it in my bar chord course. So if you kind of want to take it a step further past the basics, you can check that out too. You know, we take you through the whole thing and really work on building up finger strength and being able to kind of unlock the whole fretboard, play chords all over the fretboard and kind of know what you're doing a bit more. Anyways, as far as this song's concerned, we got to learn that shape first. So the power chord shape, we're going to start off on the 3rd fret of the lowest string. I'm going to put my first finger there. I'm going to use the tip of it. If I use the flat part, I have to press way harder than I need to. So I use the tip. Then on the next string, on the A string, I'm going to put my 3rd finger at the 5th fret. And finally, I put my pinky just underneath it. So it's on the 5th fret of the D string. So I'm holding down these 3 frets. 3, 5, 5. Now, if you're not familiar with this shape, I recommend just trying your best to play it, move it around, play it somewhere else on the fretboard, doesn't matter where. Just, you can even go up one at a time. And if you're having trouble with these 3 strings, say they're ringing out, all you gotta do is just lower this finger down so that it lightly touches them. Not too much, or else it'll start holding them down, but just lightly touching them. Now let's go over the first part of the riff. It goes like this. So I took my power chord shape and I actually went to this point where we have the low E string and then the 2nd fret and the 2nd fret. And you could play it like this, but then you have to make the power chord shape really quickly. This way you can just kind of slide back between that. Just try that a couple times. Playing it with our first finger on the 3rd fret, that's the root, that's the important part. You want to focus your eyes on that when you're trying to bring your shape around. Focus your eyes on where your first finger is. Do that, then you lift your first finger and you drag these fingers till they're on the 2nd fret. And you get an E power chord, back up to a G power chord. That's the first thing I do. It's just practicing E, G, A. That's the 5th fret. So 0, 3, 5. Whenever I say the numbers, I'm thinking about my first finger. Now all we gotta do, once you have that, is add some rhythm to it. It's really simple. So we start here and we go down, up. And then we bring our shape up to here. And I like to hit the low E string only. And then that. So here's what we got so far. Down, up, 0. Then our G power chord at the 3rd fret. Then all we have to do is bring this up to the 5th fret. And that's all. So down, up, slider up, 0. I'll do it at a medium pace. And in the song, we would do that 4 times, but I want you to practice that like 1,000,000 times right now. Let's do it together, nice and slow. I'll count us in, just that one riff. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're still having trouble making that sound right, you might want to count out the rhythm really specifically, just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can just see how that all lines up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just work it out ultra slow, trying to count it out loud as you play it. And if you line up your playing with the counting, it'll make it all smooth. You know, that might be what's missing. Anyways, once you have that riff down, we can move on to the next part, which is almost the exact same thing, except instead of doing it here on the bottom 3 strings, we move everything up. So we move that up, and we now play those 3 strings. Everything else is the same, though, you know. It's like the entire riff got moved over by 1 string, and that's it. Otherwise, identical. Let's try it a couple times. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now we would go back to E, and then we would go to the third part of the riff, which goes like this. So that is our power chord shape at the 2nd fret. Remember, I'm only thinking about where my first finger is. That's where you want your eyes. You want your eyes to follow your first finger. So I'm at the 2nd fret, down, up. Then I go up to the 5th fret, 5, 7. Just try that. 2, 2, 5, 7. Just saying fret numbers. And remember, our root is on the A string now. 2, 2. 5, 7. And once you have all 3 of those parts, and once you have those 3 parts, all we have to do is assemble them. Now here's the order that we play them in. We do this first one 4 times. E, G, A. A couple more times. And now we do this next one twice. Then it's back to the first one for a couple times. Then we do this one once. This one once. And we go back to our first one twice. So now that we've gone through all those bits and pieces, let's put it all together nice and slow. We'll play through the whole song a couple times. Here we go, starting off on our first shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, so that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to play along with the original recording, you would have to put a capo on the first fret, just because it's in a different key. It's in like a actually pretty tough key to play in if you're just getting started. That's why I've simplified this. But I do recommend trying it with the original recording if possible. Otherwise, you can just play it along with me with the beginning of this video a few times, or just on your own with a metronome. You know, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. All in all, it's about just practicing the same things over and over again. I know it can seem kind of boring, but that's how you get good at music. That's how you get to the fun stuff, is by working on things. Anyways, if you need any extra help, don't forget to check out my bar chord course or my free ebook covering lead guitar. It goes over the power chord shape, how to navigate the fretboard, a bunch of useful things, hammer-ons, pull-offs, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, have fun with this one, and I'll see you next time.